All right, welcome back to the Breakout Watchlist for the upcoming week, September 26th to the 30th. Before we start, I need to make this very, very clear. This is just a list of stocks to watch. The market's in a very tough place. These are not high quality setups. They're only going to be used to kind of like test the market and get a pulse, get some feedback on what's working. All the indexes are below their key moving averages. All their key moving averages are in a downtrend. Last week, all of the leaders started selling off aggressively. So this is not a time to get aggressive on the long side or really on the short side. Just like we don't want to be buying stocks that are extended to the upside, we don't want to be shorting stocks while they're already extended to the downside. And this video is sponsored by MarketSmith, which is the trading research platform that we're going to be using to break down each of the setups. Here are the 8 stocks that I'll cover today, 5 of which are in the biotech group, which makes sense because when the market's in a very, very bad place, usually biotech stocks act on their own accord. So 5 biotechs and then 3 other stocks. Let's switch to MarketSmith and go over the first one, AKRO. This is also a biotech stock. So biotech's the 4th strongest group out of 197 right now. So that's an A+ group strength rating. This has a 77 overall composite rating with a B accumulation distribution. But really what I'm looking at is the 99 relative strength in this high volume move that closed very strong in the daily range, 85th percentile on the day that it broke out, on 3,700% the average daily volume. So massive volume. We saw shares being accumulated throughout the day. The low of the day here was 25.01, meaning when we came back into 25, buyers stepped in and supported that area. That $25 area has not been violated yet, even with the market aggressively selling off. So as the market up here sells off, very steep sell-off, we're seeing relative strength go sideways because this is pulled back a little bit, started to chop sideways, but really hasn't even tested $25, hasn't tested the 8-day EMA, which is climbing. One of the more powerful setups in the market right now. And the way it's been acting, I mean, given the market conditions, biotechs do tend to trade on their own, but this is still pretty impressive. So if we see the market continue to sell off, I want to see how this acts around $25 and the 8-day EMA. If the market can find its footing on Monday, Tuesday, we'll be looking for a break over today, Friday's high, 26.50 as that potential entry point. Again, I'm putting that in quotations because I don't really plan on trading anything Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I really want to see the market find its footing before I do any trading. Next, we have AMPS, and this is kind of like a solar adjacent name. I brought it up on a couple live streams, but technically this is in utility electric power, 19th strongest group out of 197, so A group strength rating, B+ accumulation distribution, 99 overall composite because it has extremely strong fundamentals, earnings per share up over 1,000%, to 2 of the last quarters year over year, sales improving 91, 54, 41%, and after-tax profit margins just out of this world improving. So we got strong group, strong fundamentals. The relative strength rating is 99, the highest that MarketSmith gives. And you can kind of see that as the market was selling off, this is just kind of chopped sideways. It actually broke out to a new high 2 weeks ago, and then really is just consolidated around that 8-day EMA since. We kind of tested the 21 on the 20th, on September 20th. Buyer stepped in. We closed under the 8-day EMA that day, but then got pushed through the next day, even while the market was selling off. So again, this is another name that's showing great relative strength. There's not really a clean entry point to this yet. I would want to see it kind of tighten up and then ideally a little bit lower entry point, like between like under 12. If we can build under $12 and then as the market finds its footing, this should have no reason not to rip higher. So showing great relative strength, no clean entry point. We're just monitoring this. This is AMPS. Next we have CALX, and this was a stock that I traded a couple times in 2020 and I think 2021 as well. This is in computer networking, 18th strongest group out of 197. So A group strength rating, A- accumulation distribution. So many of the up days have come on heavier volume. Many of the down days have come on lighter volume. That's exactly the pattern that we want to see, right? Overall composite rating 97, along with a 97 individual relative strength rating. Great action out of both of those. Within the strong group of 18 stocks, this is the 3rd strongest based on relative strength, number 1 on accumulation distribution, and number 4 out of 18 on the overall composite basis. Fundamentals, not super strong. I mean, sales are up, but earnings are down. But overall, really similar to the AKRO, we had this nice move right through all the key moving averages, along with the 200-day, $50, pushed higher, and basically just trading sideways as the market has sold off probably around 14, 15% from our previous bear market rally here. So I really like how this is digesting the move. It's trading back and forth under the 21 EMA, but really with the market selling off this aggressively, it's not like it's breaking under and then dumping. So we did have one kind of shakeout day where we pulled back just above the 50-day moving average. We rallied, buyers stepped in, supported the action, and we closed at the high of the day on the 16th there. We tried to get going last Wednesday, squatted because of market pressure, and then closed just under the 21 EMA. So the area that I'm looking for is break over Friday's high, which is 58.46, call it 58.50, along with the 21-day EMA and the 8-day EMA for CALX. So we talked about AMPS, and that was solar adjacent. This is actually a solar stock, FSLR. Energy solar is still the strongest group in the market, even though a lot of the stocks in that industry got hit pretty hard last week, FSLR included. But I still want to keep up this kind of on a watch list, keep monitoring it, because even with today's sell-off, I'm filming this on Friday, we still closed above the 21 EMA. We did break under it, but we rallied later on in the day to close back above the 21 EMA. We talked about solar being the strongest group. This also has A+ accumulation distribution, 82 composite, 99 individual relative strength. The only thing this is really lacking is the fundamentals, the earnings per share, sales, after-tax profit margins, not super impressive, but this is the strongest stock on a relative strength basis, an accumulation distribution basis, 7th strongest out of 22 in the strongest group in the market still. So definitely want to keep an eye on this. We'll see if we can build out around that 21 EMA and get a lower risk entry point. Maybe an oops reversal if we gap down and then reclaim the low on Friday. But again, I'm not trying to be super aggressive, even in like the strongest names in the strongest groups. I want to get some feedback that the market's finding its footing before I try to actually trade anything. Back to biotech stocks with MRVI. I wouldn't typically put this on the breakout watch list because it's under the declining 200-day simple moving average. So that's usually like an absolute no trade. And again, I'm not going to be trading this, but it has been showing some power off the lows here. And as the market sold off about 15%, this rallied from $20 up to $25. So about a 25% gain as the market was selling off that 15%. Again, biotechs kind of work on their own typically. But just wanted to put this on the radar because it's liquid enough, 1.4 million shares traded a day on average, and it had a nice move, consolidated, then broke above the 50-day moving average, and then on Friday, while the market was down another 1.7%, this was up 5.2%. There's a little bit of overhead resistance to the left because, again, we're still under declining 200-day moving average, but we're starting to see some really good volume moves on these up days. The accumulation distribution rating is still a B-, but I'm assuming that that is going to change as we get more of these heavy volume up days and low volume down days. So if the market continues to sell off and this tightens up, kind of flags out from here, we have the 50, the 21, and the 8-day all underpriced. Maybe we pull back into that area and then find a lower pivot to potentially trade off of. But again, under the 200-day moving average, not an A+ setup because we're not in an A+ type market. Another biotech stock, we have REGN. I believe this was on last week's breakout watch list, if not the week before, but A+ group strength rating, B accumulation distribution, 95 composite with a 93 individual relative strength rating. We did have earnings and sales decline last quarter year over year, but even with that news, we had a positive reaction to earnings, up 18% on 520% average daily volume. The next day, up another 2%, and it did rally up over 750, but that's a liquidity zone right at the previous highs, so people were selling into that strength. Makes sense with the market selling off as well. Since then, we pulled back to the 8-day EMA, haven't even tested the 21, so a really nice, quiet, orderly pullback while the market was steeply selling off and the leaders have been getting hit pretty hard. And this was actually put in higher highs, higher lows on Friday, up 1.3%. Again, NASDAQ was down about 1.7%. So with this, I'm going to be looking at a break over $700 as a potential entry point. Again, potential entry point, but one that is doing an orderly pullback after a really heavy volume move up to the previous highs there. So watch how this acts around $700. Next is SRPT, and this is a stock that I've traded earlier this year on the 24th. It's a breakout. I thought it was going to be a great winner, but then market pressure pulled it back in, and I basically cut it for break even or plus 1%. Also a biotech stock, A+ group A plus group strength rating, A plus accumulation distribution, 97 composite, 98 individual relative strength. We are starting to see kind of a megaphone pattern here, which is not ideal. You see the volatility in the market causing this to shake around and really widen that price action, which if we're looking for low risk entry points, we're looking for tighter price action, tighter volume action. But unfortunately, with the market this volatile, the stock's showing relative strength. You can see kind of the box that it's in right near its relative strength highs, even though it did drop under the 8 and the 21 EMA on Friday. With this, I'll be looking for a break back over 110. That should be right around the 21 EMA as well, and just gauge it from there. Not an entry point, but just another stock to keep a pulse on. And last stock I'll cover today is VRDN, another biotech with a B- accumulation distribution rating, 82 overall composite, 98 individual relative strength, and very similar to AKRO and REGN, we had a heavy volume breakout. Up 49% on 1,960% volume buzz that day. We had follow through day up 15 or 16% on 560% average daily volume. So when you get that second day of heavy volume and the stock closing high in the range, that shows that the stock is being accumulated. And not just on day one, that there's another kind of more buyers stepping in and supporting the action. So when the market pulls back, we don't expect it not to pull back. I mean, that would be great, but it did have this kind of distribution candle where it was down 9.8% on 140% volume. That's a little bit concerning, but again, you're not going to find a perfect setup in this market. But that is something that in a bull market where you have a lot to choose from, you would look at this distribution candle here and be like, that's going to keep me away from this stock. But what I like about this is after we went through $20 here, we pulled back on this distribution candle, but the low of the day was 2019. So we're thinking there might be another buyer supporting this at $20 because this aggressively sold off, but it got stopped right above $20. So buying support came in right there. Last week, we sold off again, but the low of the day on Thursday was $20.06. So again, that $20 area is being supported. So if the market continues to sell off next week, I want to see how $20 holds. If the market continues to sell off and 20 holds, then a potential entry point would be breaking over Friday's high, 20.91. Or if you want to kind of like take the trade around 20, use a stop loss very tight to $20. Not something I would do in this market again, especially because this is a biotech for one, and also lower average volume being traded, 860,000 shares. So you could face some liquidity issues depending on how large your account and how this trades on that given day. So these more like buys by round numbers and using like tighter stops, 2% under those, are going to work much better in a liquid market in the strongest stocks and strongest groups. And right now, like biotech as a whole, it is the fourth strongest group in the market, but the market itself is in shambles. So I would rather kind of buy a little bit more on strength. But even then, again, we're just using this to keep a pulse on the market. All right, that's gonna be the breakout watch list for the upcoming week. I wish I could be more positive, but I wanna be real for you guys. This might be the worst I've seen the market. It only took me about an hour to go through my entire weekend routine and find these 8 quality setups. They're not even that high quality. Just be careful. You don't need to overtrade in this market. There's going to be a time where trading becomes easy, and this watch list, I have to spend all day kind of narrowing it down to the ones that I want to share for you guys. So just be patient. Don't give yourself a reason to lose money in this bear market, especially where we're at right now. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I put this breakout watch list video out every weekend, do trading audits as well, and then go live on Tuesday nights. A big thanks to MarketSmith for sponsoring the video. If you guys enjoyed MarketSmith, that was the trading research platform that we were using to break down each of the setups, and you want to give it a try yourself, there's a link in the description below. Have a great week, and I'll see you guys in the next video.